All right, welcome back to Afternoon Drive here on Joppa Radio. My name is Drew Moholland. Happy Tuesday to you. Kind of a cloudy, raw day. Not the best of weather weeks. I think actually today might oddly be the kind of the pick of the week. We get some rain coming in and all that stuff. So not the greatest weather week in the world, but we got spoiled over the last couple of weeks, so you can deal with this. Happy fall to you in New England. My name is Drew Moholland. Lily just sat there doing lighting control in the room right now. Hello, Lily. How are you? Thanks for being here. And Sarah Hayden. And I think I haven't seen Tyler yet. I don't know what Tyler's doing today, but Tyler Neufeld, I'm sure, is doing something here today as well. You know, a lot of times I'll do an intro, but my guest is always here early. Richie Eaton. He's a return guest. He's one of our favorites, long-time guest here on the show, one of the original guests on the show. Richie is here and ready to rock. How are you, Richie Eaton?
Good, Drew. Good to see you again.
Long time no see, it feels like. It's been a little while,
It's been a while. I think we, just before the hockey tournament last year, I think we talked a little bit.
Yeah, was that long ago, huh?
Yeah.
Wow, too long. How you been?
Good. Every good, thanks.
Things good? You look great.
Yeah, feeling good. Been a good summer. Played a lot of golf.
Played a lot of golf. Good.
Yeah, not getting any better, but still having fun.
It's funny how that happens with that game, right? Oh, that's funny.
So one or two good shots that make you want to come back.
That is right. Yes, that is completely right. What? So you're doing the football games too, of course, as usual. How's that going?
It's been a tough year so far for Newbury. They're 2-3, but the three teams they've lost to are all undefeated. Yep. Except for Masco just lost their first game, but they lost to Linfield, who was undefeated, beat Newburyport. So in essence, they've played some real good teams. They won the games they should have. They beat Triton and Ipswich. Yep. But they lost to Linfield, North Reading, and Bedford.
Tough league again.
It's a tough one. You know, it's a tough schedule. They got a game coming up Saturday now. Just for those of people just listening right now, the game has been switched to 10 o'clock Saturday morning.
Yeah, a little breaking news today. Yeah,
so that's going to be Saturday morning, and
that's
then
going to be odd, huh? Saturday morning game.
Yeah, well, what's happening is Saturday afternoon they got the ALS Cups here in Newburyport. These soccer games between Newburyport and Pentucket. Yep. So the girls are playing at 1 or 1:30, and the boys are playing at 3. I think it's 1:30 the girls and 3:30 the boys. So we'll be doing the football game first, and then we'll do the two soccer games right after that. So it'll be a busy day.
Yeah, there's been a lot of this going around with the Triple E threat, right? I mean, moving all these Friday night light games to Saturdays.
Yeah, it's tough. And the big problem is trying to get officials for the football games. A lot of them play referee on Friday nights, and they're doing games on Saturday. Yeah. So when you get a postpone from Friday, referee may not be available for the next game.
Yeah,
so that does make a little bit of difference too. But hopefully it's going to work out. But you know, you just talked about the weather beforehand. The forecast is for rain basically right through Saturday. Yeah. Starting with the Patriots game Thursday night, which I'll be sitting through the rain. But
that's right, I forgot.
I'll be doing that, and then at least on the high school stuff, if they do play in the rain, I'll be inside anyway.
There you go. Absolutely. Would you do season tickets for the Patriots? Or?
Yes, I do. This is my 51st year.
51st year. Yeah. No kidding.
Yeah, I started in 1969.
You guys do the whole thing. You get in there early, do the tailgate thing and all that?
Yep.
Even in rain or shine, right?
Yeah, we have a tent with flaps if we have to. When it's cold, we put the flaps down if it's raining. And it depends on what we're going to cook. Usually it's, nice steaks the first game. And then as the colder weather comes in, it's a little chilly or something like that, burgers and dogs, different things. But it's a good combination. My kids do like to cook. They do a good job cooking. And so we base it on the weather and whether we need the tent or not. But
how early do you get in there for a...
you ready for this? The gates are supposed to open at 4 o'clock. Yep. I mean, for an 8 o'clock game. 4 hours before game time. Lately, they've been opening an hour earlier. And so if we don't get in within the first 15 minutes, you don't really get a good parking spot. And then you take an hour and a half to get out. Wow. So we'll get there. We'll leave the game, we'll leave at 1:30, but we get there around 3, and we hang in. There's a Napa Auto Parts about a mile away from the stadium. So we stay at Napa. The people there are great. They let us stay there. There's about 10 cars that stay there. And as soon as the gates, so usually somebody has some connection inside the stadium. As soon as the stadium opens, they get a beep, say it's open. And then we go right there. But the first game of the year, it was supposed to open at 4:30. We're in the stadium, in the parking lot, at our spot at 3:20, and all the spots were gone.
Wow.
So they had to put us over in the secondary area, which is still okay, but it still took a while to get there. So,
it's all about
pays to get
out.
there early. And if you get there too early, they won't let you in. Then you got to go all the way around the whole circuit. It's about 45 minutes to make the loop to get back again.
Oh man!
So you got to time it. But they used to. We got the Gillette Stadium online. Yep. So they usually will beep you when the gates open. But the last couple of times they haven't done that.
So it's a mad rush to get in there.
Oh yeah, it is.
You don't want to be stuck around.
And then it's you get there, and then like I said, we'll play cards or just talk sports. And if there's a second game, we put the TV on. Bring my iPad and we watch a game that's on TV. And so we can always watch something anyway.
Yeah.
So it's still sports.
That is good. Yeah, 51 years. You must have this down. What's the key to the perfect tailgate? Is it the people, the food? What's the
weather is important?
Weather. I bet
Yeah,
it is.
and close to the porta potties.
Yeah, that's good, of course.
No, but like I say, it works out good because now the boys do all the cooking, they do all the driving, and I just have to sit back and enjoy it.
That's good.
But I
Yeah.
go with my 3 sons for the majority of it, so that's always fun.
4 tickets. Yeah.
Yeah, 4 tickets we have. Yeah, right about the 45, between the 45 and 50-yard line. High on the visitor side.
Yep.
It used to be the Patriot side, but then when what the coach was there?
Parcells.
No, it's after Parcells.
Carroll.
No, Meyer.
Oh, Meyer,
He
okay,
came in and he said, why should we always have our backs to the camera? So they switched to the other side of the field, plus they're on the sunny side of the field.
Okay.
So he said, well, now they can see our face instead of our backs. And plus we get the sun. Well, I don't like the sun in my eyes. I'd rather have it on my back, and it works out just as good, you know.
Yeah.
So we're on the visitor side now. But again, beautiful seats. Take the elevator up now. I don't walk the ramps anymore. We can take the elevator up,
Yeah.
so that makes a big difference.
Did you see the, how about that Patriots fan base in Washington? Did you see it
it's
sounded like a
unbelievable.
Patriots
It was like a home game.
It was
It was like a
unbelievable.
home game.
Even usually you don't see Brady and Belichick kind of taking them back, but they were kind of like, that was
Yeah,
astonishing.
even their comments afterwards, they went out of their way. Brady said, oh, my God, this was unbelievable. It was like a home game. I think Belichick said that, which, yeah. But Brady says they appreciate it. Because I'll tell you, sometimes it's at the Patriots games, the last quarter, the stands are pretty thin.
Yeah.
Usually the Patriots got it wrapped up and everybody's leaving early to get out.
Yeah, in general, that can be. I don't know. I think it's probably how it's built a little bit, but it's not like the Seattle where it's that cave of sound.
No, you don't. You don't have that. And the other problem is, if it's kind of allows you everybody in the middle sections and that the second tier, they're all inside the suites watching it on TV because they don't want to be outside.
They linger in
it
the.
looks like it's empty spaces sometimes.
And then after halftime too, it's forever to get back into your seats during the third quarter for a lot of those people.
That's when you notice when it gets colder too. People get up at halftime, start mulling around, and it wasn't so bad. Usually it's warmer at the games than it is tailgating.
Yeah, I bet.
People close together and everything else, but it's a fun time. I really enjoy it. Like I say, as long as I don't have to do the driving, it's great.
Exactly. So you battled through some raindrops Thursday. No big deal. You've been through that before, though. Rain or snow? What's better?
Actually, I
easier?
like the snow. I like sitting and playing in the snow because it's you don't get as wet, I don't think, as you do with their thing, and it's fun to watch. It's not like it's all muddy like now that's all artificial turf and it's easy. They just plow the field off.
Right.
But I was there at the Snow Bowl when Vinatieri kicked the field goal to win it. That was exciting.
What a game that was.
You missed some of that, but I don't mind the snow as much as it. But it's worse driving in the snow on the way home.
Yeah.
But again, that's up to the boys, not me.
Take it slow, boys. There you go. Well, there you go. Now we got the tailgating covered. I'm glad we started with that. It's a nice Tuesday afternoon talk. Again, we're joined by Richie Eaton here today. So, Richie, I noticed one thing you had while we're talking winter a little bit and snow. Why don't we talk about we got the schedule already out, the Newburyport Bank, or at
pretty
least
much,
the dates.
Yeah, we get the dates. It's changed this year. We used to go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
And for those of you who don't remember, this is the end of the season hockey tournament with the girls and the boys. And
it's always played during the February vacation, and this is actually the 25th annual one.
This is 25. Wow,
big time this year. We're coming up with something good for this one.
There you go.
I've already been talking to Kyle today on that about what we're going to do. So,
cool.
But it's instead of going Monday through Friday, it's going to go Saturday, February 15th, then Sunday the 16th, then Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Wow. Because the MIA changed the qualification. Now the games have to be done by Thursday instead of Saturday. So we had to move it up 2 days. So it gives you a day for some makeups for anybody,
Yeah, which we always have too. Don't we?
It does. It does happen. So we just got a call. Kyle just got a call yesterday too. One of the girls' teams, the coach didn't realize the term is a new coach, and when he looked at the schedule, he found he had 21 games.
Oh.
So he can only play one of them. So it's a possibility there may be another team that wants to play one game so they can play the consolation of the second one. It's a girls' team that we're talking about.
Chances are you could find one, right? It seems like there's always a team looking for one game, maybe to punch a berth.
Right. And I think it's, I won't get into the specifics on teams yet right now, but it does look like it's a possibility. So it may be two different teams will play that one, they'll just play a consolation game. But hopefully we can work on that. But outside of that, it should be some good-looking teams out here. Shrewsbury comes every year now. St. John's and Shrewsbury. They bring a boys and a girls team.
Yep.
So a couple of new teams involved. So it'll be fun.
That's a hike for them too. It must be cool for you to have those guys be regulars, and love the tournament like that.
I was amazed when Canton. The first 12 years of the tournament, Canton came every year. That's 2 games, So they're giving up home games to travel here, but they've enjoyed it. And it's the point now where Newburyport and Canton alternate every year, playing each year.
Yeah, they have that rivalry.
One time, Canton is here this year, and Newburyport went to Canton last year, so they've got a good rivalry. But what happened is when they had a new coach, again, when you get a new coach, they don't know all the whole system.
Yeah.
So as a result, they stepped out of the tournament. And once you get somebody in the tournament, we usually keep the same teams unless they, a change like that happens. But we try to at least give them the first opportunity, first refusal.
Yeah, well, that's cool. Yeah, that is cool. That's always been a good rivalry that since I've been doing. When did we start doing games? 7-8 years ago. That Canton rivalry. They were a good team, and they always liked playing each other. And good, respectful rivalry. I
did notice that on the schedule that they're not playing Franklin this year. The last few years, Newburyport's played Franklin, but Newburyport's playing Burlington this year.
Oh, okay. That's
on the hockey. Let me see. Yeah, they're playing Burlington. As far as the non-league games, Burlington, St. Mary's are playing St. Mary's, St. John's Prep.
Yeah.
So those are tough ones right there. St. Mary's are playing twice, home and away.
Yep.
St. John's Prep.
I think they did that last year too.
Yeah, that got to be a little bit of good rivalry going on between them. A little bit of, and the St. John's Prep, that's usually been the Derek Hines. A couple of times they played that Derek Hines tournament, which is really nice. Nice tribute to Derek, and nice to have Newburyport and St. John's there. So outside of that, it's the regular teams in the league. But St. Mary's, wait a minute, I see St. Mary's down here 3 times. That can't be right. At St. Mary's twice. And one time home against St. Mary's. So I don't know if that's a mistake or not. But I just look at this the first time I looked at the schedule.
Raw schedule there.
But I don't think they've played St. Mary's 3 times.
That'd be is that even legal? Can you do that?
I guess you could. I don't think there's any problem with that.
It's certainly not the usual, but
no, that is a kind of unusual. Unless it's a different. It just says St. Mary's.
Yeah, there is another.
I wonder if they penciled in 2 games and they haven't, because this is a tentative schedule as of September 25th.
Yeah, so maybe hasn't picked the date yet, one or the other.
Yeah.
Coach Paul, you mean scheduling light once again, right?
Oh, I'll tell you, they don't take any soft schedule, that's for sure. They got some good scrimmages, too, playing Needham and Tewksbury in scrimmages.
Yeah.
They got Westford Academy and then the league ones here. So it's going to be a good schedule.
As we bounce all our, this is kind of how I like doing this show with you because we always have so much ground to cover. But of course, a little bit of a disappointing year for those Red Sox. Not the.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. Coming out of spring training, my first comment was the pitching staff wasn't ready.
Yeah,
I was kind of disappointed.
You go to spring training.
I'm there. Yeah, I have season tickets for the spring training, but I was disappointed because I didn't think the pitching staff was ready.
Yeah.
Basically, Cora decided that maybe you're going to give them a rest because they had a long year.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody pitched more than 4 innings in spring training.
Yeah.
And when it came to the season, they just weren't ready.
Kind of stayed that way, didn't it?
It stayed, yeah. So it was a disappointment. I mean, it's tough when you got a great year out of Devers and Bogarts. Vasquez had a great year.
Yeah, the bats did not let down again.
And then if you look at Betts for him was a lousy year. Most people, they'd love to have their schedule what he did, you know? So, I mean, that was a good part there.
I hope they keep him. I love watching that guy play. Yeah. He does everything.
You know, my thought on that was, the Red Sox were talking about cutting their salaries.
Right.
And my thought was, well, maybe because they want to cut it 1 year, because if you cut it for 1 year, get below the salary, then you get 2 free years, you're not paying this tax, and you can go ahead and do it. Maybe the idea is cut it for next year, bite the bullet next year, and then they'll have money available the following year to pay Betts. As far as Betts goes, I don't think it makes a difference where he goes. I don't think he's like Bogarts. Bogarts says, I want to play for the Red Sox. I don't care what you sign for. Get the best you can, but I'm staying here.
Yeah.
Betts wants the most money. And it was obvious about 3 years ago when they offered a contract, he was ready to jump on it.
Yeah.
And his mother said, oh, no. You take what's best. You can do better than that. And as a result, he held out. He's the highest paid in arbitration.
Yeah.
And so that's going to happen again. He's probably going to make $30 million this year in arbitration.
Probably.
So, and the Red Sox have tried to offer him a deal. So that's going to be the tough part. But I think what John Henry's looking at is, all right, I cut the salary, get under the limit. Now, if I do have to pay Betts more, at least I'm not going to pay a penalty for a couple of years.
Yeah.
I think the big key is Martinez, J.D. Martinez. He's got till 5 days after the World Series to decide if he wants to be a free, extend his contract or leave. He has an option to duck out after this year. But he also has an option next year as well.
Yeah.
But his contract's $60 million right now, so there'll be some teams that want to pay him. But he wants to play the outfield. He doesn't want to be DH. Yeah. And I tell you, the way he's played the outfield, I don't think the National League team's going to want him in the outfield. So his best chance is probably going to be an American League team.
Not too rangy out there.
Yeah, he might look good in pinstripes. I don't know.
Oh, jeez.
But they got enough in there.
That'd be scary because he is a great hitter.
Oh, he's a student of the game. He's got his iPad with him all the time. He's always looking at things.
Yeah.
And they say he's early at the park, doesn't take as much batting practice. He's just focusing on what's going on. Then he'll do his own afterwards.
Yep. He's kind of kind of like Mookie in a way where he has nothing against Boston, but not necessarily in love with it. Where like Xander, where
but I thought Devers had a fantastic.
Oh yeah, he turned. He's going to be.
His fielding is going to improve. But what I like about him, his mood doesn't change. He can go 0 for 5 or 5 for 5, and it's the same thing all the way.
Yeah.
He doesn't let it get to him.
For a young guy, too.
I think he pressed a little bit at the end of the day, but only I think he was tired more than anything.
Yeah.
And maybe to get that 30th home run, there was a press there. But when it came to the 200th hit, he got 3 hits in a row that last game. He got 199, 200, 201 all together.
Yeah.
So it didn't seem to bother him that time.
No, it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see where they go next year. Hopefully they can bounce back a little bit. But yeah, you're right. There are some obstacles. Speaking of the Red Sox, one of our a mutual friend of ours, Johnny Miller. I know you saw that inducted into the Mass Broadcasters Hall of Fame.
That was great. What a great honor.
A week and a half ago. Very cool. I actually was lucky enough to attend it myself. I went there, and a bunch of us from WBZ were there to support Johnny Miller, and just what a day. It was fantastic. Dan Shaughnessy inducted him.
That had to be a great thrill for John. He doesn't look for any accolades or anything else, but he's it's well deserved, that's for sure.
Well, speaking of, he talks about you probably remember this story, but when David Price kind of got on him a little bit, remember this when and he said
he went and did the homework.
Yeah, well, that's where Dan Shaughnessy was setting him up to answer that way. But the long story short, David Price says, Johnny asks David Price, what is different from last year? You're struggling. And he says, I'm not going to do your homework for you. You go do it. Yeah. And so Johnny, anybody who knows him knows that this is what he would do. He goes home and just watches hours and hours of videotape, comes back and tells Price what he's doing differently. It was something with his feet. I can't remember.
And Price was impressed.
Yes,
and I think all of a sudden he became,
Yeah, so Dan says, and what did you do? And instead of saying Johnny, and Johnny was supposed to answer, I went and watched all the videotape. He goes, I just read an Alex Spear column.
Oh,
which I thought was a great Johnny answer.
But when I was down at spring training with Johnny, it's amazing. He'd be up about 3 o'clock in the morning. He gets all the newspapers. Then he takes photocopies of any articles he thinks that anybody that he knows is interested in.
Yeah.
And photocopies them and passes them out. And at the time I was down with the first time I met him, I asked him something about what Bentley was doing because I knew the tournament was going on. Yeah. Anytime he saw anything on Bentley or banking, he'd send it to me.
Yeah.
And I think I told you before, he used to call me Mr. Drysdale.
Right.
And he'd send something to the bank sometimes when he sent me some clippings or something. And Richie, Mr. Drysdale Eaton,
Yeah. He's a great guy.
But he always is thinking of everybody else,
It is under. I don't think people realize some, and he wants it this way, but he is quite the giver. He's a great charity.
Oh, yeah, giver. I see that on the Jimmy Fun Telethon every year.
Yeah,
the donations he make in honor of his father, and they did someone. Gil Santos died, a couple other people like that. He just mentioned them in memory of them, but that's the way he does it. And very thought. He was very helpful when my brother passed away too. He made us some donations to help towards a scholarship, and he probably gave me over $15,000 worth of Celtics tickets over the years, which we were able to raffle off or sell so that it went and helped the scholarship out.
Good man. I'm sure you guys have some good stories from all those years in spring training.
It was good. I just feel so bad. He's so crippled now, but he still gets around. He's still the first one there usually. His car's always a mess. You never know what's going to see in his car. You can always tell Johnny's car, but it's amazing. He gets around and always on the hustle. Never, he gets down to sit down to eat, and he's ready to order right away. He wants to bill right away, but he's always looking what to do next. Oh yeah, he's very. Yeah, everything has to be quick.
Hurry up and go.
Yeah,
yeah. It's a cerebral palsy for those of you who don't know the Johnny, and he's boy, what a career he's had through that all. He was the only guy to get a standing ovation at the Mass Broadcasters Hall of Fame. So that was a very nice
tears
moment.
I was just thinking about it. He's the dean now. He's always gets the first question at the Red Sox press conferences.
And he told me I kind of did a follow-up interview with him the other day. Just what's it like being a week in the Hall of Fame? And he told me, what the thing is, and he gets very frustrated about this, especially when all the other networks come in and grab the sound of the questions if he asks a good question. And he goes, there's only a couple of us actually in the room now that Nick Cafardo's gone that actually ask questions. He goes, it's like 2 or 3 of us in the whole room, and he gets all upset about it. It's funny. If you want to hear what gets under Johnny's skin, that's it.
Yeah. Speaking of Nick Cafardo, what a great tribute this year. Every place they went to, there was a roses set up where he normally would sit.
Yep.
And even all the way through the end of the season, even in Texas, the last game of the year, there was something there.
Yeah.
So these people respected how much he was so well respected as well.
He was a good man.
And they remember was going there. So that was kind of nice to see about that.
Did you know Nick? Did you get to know?
I didn't talk to him that much. No, I knew he was obviously, and we sit down in the group and we talk or something. But,
right.
Like I said, I didn't go to many of the practices. I was mostly watching for the games when I was doing the reports for Win back and forth. It was just more the games than it was practices. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was a tough loss, of course, a surprising loss there, Nick. Yeah. But anyway, spring training not too far away.
No, looking forward to it.
I think I read, and speaking of the winter sports, are we like 8 weeks away? Is that about right?
I think usually the middle of February, it's November, December. About 3 months, probably 12 weeks before.
Well, from the beginning of the winter seasons, though.
Oh, winter season, 8 weeks. Yeah, that's right. They can start football. I think it's the Monday after Thanksgiving.
Crazy.
I think it start hockey and basketball.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that Monday. That's right.
8 weeks.
It was always you go home, you have the Thanksgiving turkey.
So it seems like football season just started, but we played 5 games.
Crazy.
Newburyport has 2 left. They play Pentucket, then there's a week off. They play Masco. Then they have the 3 weeks of the tournament, which I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Then they finish up with Amesbury at home.
Yeah. Is this a team that can make a little noise at the end of the year here, this football team? Or?
I'll tell you, the 2 tough games, Pentucket and Masco. Newburyport's young. They only have 6 seniors on the team.
Yeah.
It's a very young team. And they've got a freshman that played the other night. He really looks good. Aiden Blunt, he started returning some kicks, and he ran a couple plays of scrimmage. He got tremendous speed. And like I said, only about 6 seniors on the team. So the quarterback's coming back. Charlie K. Lane's coming back. Trevor Ward, Foley. So they get some good boys coming back. And there's some sophomores that are contributing this year. But the way it's broken up is basically 6 seniors, 19 juniors, 17 sophomores, and 13 freshmen. They dress them all.
Yeah.
But like I said, to see 1 freshman play, and there's been about 4 or 5 sophomores that play in regular.
Yeah.
So it's a young team, but it's tough. The games they've lost, it just the Linfield game, they gave a punt return for a touchdown. Then there was a pass interception. They were down 21-0 in the first quarter. It's kind of get out of it, you know.
Yeah.
They did turn the ball over a lot against Bedford. You know, they had 3 fumbles and then a pass interception. So that hurt. The timing was wrong.
I know you're as close as anybody really to that program. I know you're a fan of Coach Smolsky, and I know you've known the family for forever it seems. But how's the state of the program there, you think?
I think it looks good. Yeah, I think there's some good potential. They've usually been strong defensively, but this year they were very small.
Yeah,
that's hurt them a lot. They don't have the size, and I'm talking about body size, not as far as numbers go. But even numbers aren't that great. But other sports are doing it. You know, they're taking away from it. You know, you got a lot more sports now, and a lot of people are concerned about the football with the injuries and everything else. So I think that's cut down on some of the numbers.
A lot of guys playing 2 ways, offense and defense.
A lot, a lot are doing that.
It takes a lot out of you.
It does. So, but I think overall, I think Coach Smolsky is well respected, and I think. Where they've got a younger team now, if they stick together, which they should, I think you'll see next year, Kay Lane should have a real good year. He's a good runner. He's a great on the option. I have a lot of times I end up thinking he's handed off, and he hasn't.
Yeah.
The problem is that with the receivers, Trevor Ward is one of the fastest kids around. He gets out there.
Basketball guy too, right?
Yes, he does play basketball. Yeah. I'll tell you the kid that I'm impressed with, Walker Bajkevich. He's a tight end, but he's also the place kicker. He plays nose guard and defense. Yeah. He's like a tight end or wide receiver. He does the kicking, and then on close yardage, he carries the ball like a fullback and takes over on the 1 or 2 yard line. Yeah. But 2 games in a row, he scored all their points. He had a field goal, 2 extra points, and a couple of touchdowns each of the games. So cool. He's a good one. Someone said he was rated like 74th in the country as far as place kickers in high school. Yeah. Which, you know, there's a lot of colleges out there. There's might be potential in there. And he plays. I think he's a catcher in football. I think so. He's gonna be around.
Yeah. Did you see the speaking of tight ends? Probably a name you remember. Yes, that's exactly.
I've been watching all the Penn State games.
It's crazy to see that. I didn't realize. I think I realized he was a player when he was playing around here, but I don't think I realized he was captain Penn State material.
Sophomore. He's a sophomore, leading tight end. Pat Fryermuth. Yeah. Basically, he's going to go places. He's done an excellent job. But I've been watching all the Penn State games as a result of that. Yeah. And of course, his family played from Newburyport. They're from Newburyport. His grandfather played for Newburyport.
You know all
his
them?
father coached Colgate. Yeah. Yeah. His grandfather coached Colgate.
Grandfather did? Okay.
Yeah, grandfather, yeah.
Football family?
Yeah, football family. Well, they're all the Bresnahan clan. If you start going back from all the Bresnahans, the Clancys, the Foleys, there's a good breed there. Yeah. And they're all good athletes, and he's done a great job.
So you're watching all the
But I've been watching all the Penn State games. Yeah, if I'm not home, I'll tape it to watch it.
Absolutely.
If I'm not home, I'll have the phone on, checking the Penn State games and look at the box score to see what he's been doing.
They must be proud, all those
But yeah, only a sophomore. He's good size. I guess he's a good student as well. And well liked.
Yeah, that's great. And he's been on TV quite a bit. Yeah. He's been making some plays. So it must be. I can't really remember because it's tough to be. I mean, Division I football it's a tough
and Big
tough
Ten.
Class. Big Ten, yeah. I can't remember. What are some of the other recent names? I mean, I can't remember too many people out of this area that really. You know, I'm sure nobody better to ask than you, I guess.
Go back a ways. Recently, I could go back. A lot of Newburyport kids went to UNH and played. Bobby Jean ended up being a captain there. Yeah. Eric Bashaw was a captain. Brett Bashaw. Yep. They played at UNH. But recently, I'm trying to think of anybody. Quinn Stott, who played.
Oh, that's
for
right.
But he
Yeah,
actually
I
went
had
to
him on the
the
show.
Governors.
Yeah.
He's
BC,
redshirt.
right?
I think he's on the BC roster. I think he's probably going to be redshirted.
Okay.
But he's on the roster, and he's a running back. But with Dylan and a couple of good freshmen there, it's going to be, have to bide his time. So it'd be interesting to see what happens next year with Dylan at BC.
It's another guy. I was kind of, I knew he was a great player here, but again, that's D1 ACC football.
Yeah.
I didn't
Losing him was tough because here's a kid that is a freshman. He started in basketball, baseball, and football as a freshman. But then after the freshman year, he got a nice offer from the Governors, and you can't blame him for going there.
Yeah, so many kids do that nowadays, don't they?
It seems like most of the time it's the hockey players that go. You seem to lose the hockey players, and a lot of those kids can play any sport.
Right.
So it takes away from 2 or 3 sports sometimes.
Well, that's what what Benny Mirages, remember him?
Yes, he went to Providence.
Yep. So he's getting older now, right? Because that was my first year.
I think...
Senior? Is he a
he
senior?
should be a senior this year. His brother was at Air Force, too. His brother played at Air Force. Yeah.
Younger brother, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, the older brother.
He was an older brother.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ben was the 1 year younger.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think I realized
So I think
that.
his brother may have graduated now. Because I'm thinking he's probably a senior this year, but it's hard to tell.
The brother never played at Newburyport, right?
No, he didn't.
Yeah, okay.
He transferred to Newburyport his last year.
Okay.
But he didn't play for Newburyport. And Ben only played 1 year. Then he went to academy or somewhere. I don't know where he went.
I forget which one he went to, but I do remember that freshman year.
Oh, he was impressive. First game I saw him, I was like, this guy, amazing way he handled the puck and everything.
Well, you had been tipped off.
Then I found out, when I found out his mother and everything else, they're all Newburyport people, but the Mirage, I didn't recognize the name there,
Yeah.
But he was a Hilton,
A great player, little lefty. Not so little. He got
Hilton or Horton. I can't remember what his maiden name was. His mother's maiden name was Hillary. I think it was Horton.
Yeah.
It could be Joy. Now I'm getting screwed up now. It's either Hilton or Horton. I think my ages.
You're a sponge.
Better ways.
Again, we're joined here by Richie Eaton on Afternoon Drive. We're always talking, we talk about all sorts of sports, but of course, Richie's really tapped in on the high school level. You got any other teams you're watching that are surprising you here in the first athletic season of the school year?
No, it's just good to see the consistency. At the Newburyport this year, like the soccer we talked about the ALS Cup coming up.
Yep.
This game with Newburyport, Pentucket, it's almost winner take all for the division.
Yeah,
they're both battling each other right now. I think Newburyport is 7-1-4, and Pentucket might be 8-1-2 or something like that. 7-1-2, 8-1-2, and they played to a scoreless tie the first time they played.
It's always great to take the ALS Cup.
Newburyport cross country usually has a good team all the time. So. Other teams, I feel bad. Triton's had another tough luck, and now their quarterback got hurt again, O'Doy. He's a good athlete, and so they've struggled this year.
Who's the coach there again?
Ryan McCarthy.
McCarthy, that's right. Because
he was a great offensive coordinator here at Newburyport when he was here.
Yeah, that's right.
But he's been, plus he's the baseball coach. He's baseball coach. Ryan's done a good job, and it's just been some tough luck with injuries. But they got a freshman there, Colby, a wide receiver, who really looks good.
Well, they're coming off that wave. What was that, just 3 years ago or so, where Triton made all that huge playoff run there, and they had all that talent. And
it goes in cycles.
It does, doesn't it?
It's good to see. I'd like to see them do well. Amesbury's going to be competitive. Pentucket's strong again this year.
Yeah.
Steve Hayden, hats off to him. It looks like they might have played their last game at the stadium there. I noticed they said he picked up some of the sod at the end of the game as a little souvenir.
Oh, no kidding.
But it looks like they'll play their games at Havel the rest of the season, and then they're going to be building a new school on that lot, and eventually they'll get their own field.
Yeah, it seems like everybody at Pentucket's pretty excited about that.
It should be, but it's going to be a couple of years probably before they get to a new field. So they'll be on the road. But I think playing at Havel is that's a nice stadium there.
Yeah.
I was hoping they might play some games in Newburyport.
Yeah, they definitely could. We had Dan Thornton on. He was showing me the athletic director over there, and
he's a nice guy.
He is a nice guy, and he was showing me the pictures and everything. It looks beautiful what they plan to do. So good for that. I didn't realize I had some of the Pentucket kids in here, and they said, it's kind of we have fun with it, but it's kind of embarrassing. A lot of these other schools will start chants that say, calling us farmers or whatever, and it's because we play on the grass field, it gets torn up, and we all get muddy.
Sometimes you see the field. I think depends on who they're playing. If they cut the grass shorter or longer, whatever,
Yeah,
slow the team down.
That's right. When there rumors Belichick used to do that?
I think so. Yeah,
probably
like Red Auerbach used to put the heat up in the locker rooms when or the other team's locker room, or make it all just cold water. The showers, no hot water. Auerbach would look at any advantage he could get.
I missed obviously just my age. I missed the Red Auerbach broadcasting era, but the stories that you hear of just I was I remember reading a book within the last decade. I forget what book it was that I came across it, but talking about about Red and how they were doing one. I don't know if it was a scrimmage or what, but they were playing a team with all these names that were German names and tough names to pronounce. And Red's up there, and the guy's going, "You got the pronouncers on these?" He goes, "I'm just calling him the big man."
It was Johnny Most.
Johnny
Most.
Okay,
Yeah, you're talking.
I'm
Yeah, it was Johnny
stories?
Most. Yeah, he's over the big guy now to the other big guy. But talking about the Celtics back in 59 and 60, they actually came to IC and worked out part of their practices. Arbeck wanted to get the other people to know the team, so they did some barnstorming in their practices because the actual gym, the 4 was a right size, regulation size. They came 2 years in a row and came and worked out at regular full practice at IC, and I was on the grammar school and the JV game at the time. So afterwards, we go down and have lunch with them. They have sandwiches and Cokes, and we got a chance to talk to them. Bill Russell. I got all their autographs.
Oh, no kidding.
Russell, Cousy, Shaman, Heinsohn.
How cool was that?
I mean, Lou Saropoulos was one of the guys. I still remember the names,
So Johnny Most calling the game didn't learn the names?
Well, when it came to when they played those Yugoslavian teams, you didn't know them because this was when they went over to Europe playing some tournament.
Okay,
but it wasn't regular season. That's
right. It's funny. I remember
he
that
called
wrong.
the big guy and the other big guy. But I think they played Yugoslavia and a couple of teams like that one time as a promotion.
I had in my head it was Red as the coach that just wouldn't give him the respect of the name. But I guess you're right. I guess it was Johnny Most.
And the other thing Arbeck always did was he always had the Celtics wearing black sneakers because they were easier to keep clean. When you had them white, they got dirty. You had to keep washing them.
Yeah.
They couldn't afford all that stuff, so they wear black sneakers. They won't look so bad. So for many years, the Celtics just had black sneakers.
It seems like a practical move. Not an issue with the pay that these guys are getting today. Huh? It is crazy, man.
Now they'll take the sneakers off and throw them out in the stands, get somebody else a new one.
I know.
But speaking of throwing things away, a little bit of sign on Brock Holt this year. Maybe that he's a free agent this year.
Miss him if
the end of when the last game was over, it showed him outside passing all his bats out to all the kids.
Yep.
That'd be a tough loss. He's been a good utility man, great for the Jimmy Fund, and a good community spirit. So
good clubhouse guy. You can just tell he's got a good feel for the clubhouse.
And when he first came here, he was a throw-in on a trade.
Do you remember what trade? I was trying to remember recently.
It was with Pittsburgh, and Hanahan was involved, and I forgot who the Red Sox gave up.
We tried him as a closer, right?
Hanahan, right, yeah. But I think what happened was Farrell recognized because Hope played with Farrell's son. And I think Farrell kind of looked at it. He said afterwards, well, that wasn't one of the reasons why I wanted to play, because he played with my son. But I think he did see him play there and kind of liked him. But he had to be a throw-in on the trade. But I forgot who the Red Sox gave up for that.
Sox have had a few good throw-ins in trades. Think Mike Lowell there with was that Beckett?
That was the Beckett trade, right? Yep.
Yeah, the Marlins,
Yeah, and he turned out to be excellent.
That's unbelievable. He had his career year, the year after he was smooth. And another good, just kind of a good clubhouse, good community guy. From what I hear, I never met him.
Yeah, everybody seemed to respect him. Steady at third base. And,
I think he had some gray hairs coming in while he's playing third. He did. He was a veteran over there, but that was a fun team to watch too. I'm wondering, you mentioned briefly about some of the numbers being down for football, and there was another story out of BU today about they're consistently looking at head injuries, and I know that a lot of parents are pulling kids out of football because of that. So you're seeing low numbers. One thing I wasn't quite on, and Dan Thornton was telling me this, the AD last time I had him on, was it's funny, with so much else to do, he's the buzz, because I was asking about Friday Night Lights and how much it hurts Pentucket not having it. He said, and our crowds aren't as great as they used to be 10 years ago. He's like, but I kind of see that all around. It's like I'm not quite the buzz is a little bit down for high school football. Have you noticed that around?
It has, and I think in Newburyport has always had a good following. No matter where you went, there was always more Newburyporters. Even when you're on the road, there were more Newburyporters. But those veterans were going and passed on, and you don't have the younger generation coming up. And I think the reason for that is a lot of the younger kids now, they have cars. Never used to have as many cars. They all get their own cars, so they got to work to get that. Or they're playing other sports. There are a lot more choices of sports. Yeah. And so as a result, it's less. They got more opportunity to do something else. Yeah. But I'll tell you one thing: the fan support from the students this year has been excellent.
Really,
I thought Newburyport has had a real good support. If you look at basketball, they've always had a great reception. They pick a theme every night. They all wear the same color jersey. Everything else. They've been doing that in football.
Great home court.
Hockey, they were doing it, although it seemed to get a little bit less. But it's interesting. It's disappointing to me. There's no cheerleaders anymore. Football doesn't have cheerleaders. Basketball, hockey doesn't have cheerleaders.
I don't
know
think I
why.
realized that, yeah.
Again, maybe they're all doing something that they don't want. But it's too bad because the other teams have had them, and that adds a little pep. But I will say the student body has got behind them. I noticed especially at the Triton game this year. There was a good turnout at Triton, and the home games. They seem to be getting a little more together. So I think if you can get them to start in the freshman year and work them through, and they get to enjoy it, it'll come back. But
I'm a little bit removed from that. I wonder if that has anything to do with, because I remember my sister-in-law was a cheerleader, and I remember her just within the last year or two being upset with a rule that was put in, I believe, nationally about not designating cheerleading as a sport anymore. And I remember she was very upset about that.
Yeah, I thought that was back on now because I thought they did.
Did they reverse that? Okay.
Yeah, but one thing they have done is eliminate some of the pyramids. You can't do the pyramids that they used to have out of safety.
Really?
Now they have to be spotted and different stuff. I don't think they go as high as they used to go in the pyramids too.
Okay.
Which is good. That was just for safety purposes because girls were falling, getting concussions as bad as football players.
Wow, really?
Yeah, so that was kind of a thing. But again, safety is first. But it's too bad they don't have them. But again, a lot of the girls are participating in other sports as well.
Yeah.
So at least they're doing something.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. I do think that's probably it. You're probably right. I didn't even think about the car situation. Kids, seems like everybody has a car
You
now.
go by the high school now. I mean, I just came before I came here. The high school was getting out, and all the cars all over the place. Never used to be that bad.
Where do they park there? There's not much parking over
I
at
know
the high school.
up and down both sides of the driveways now. The 3 driveways have all filled in there. Some of the side street, High Street is full. So I mean, there's a lot of cars now that these kids have. So they're smart. They start saving up early because they want a car, and the time for the parents to buy a new car, and they'll get the old clunker or something.
Absolutely.
Although the old clunker's not too bad either.
I'm trying to drive mine into the ground 10 years or so. I'm driving it till it's done.
I got a bonus of mine that everybody laughed about me because I have a Buick Lucerne. It's 2006. Actually, it's a 2007. I got it in 2006. And this week I just passed the 50,000 mark on it. That's all.
Nice.
Because I only, when I was working, only half a mile away from work. So it was a short trip back and forth. But I've had it all these years and it's been great for me. But for what I do, whenever place we go, I always take my wife's van. She always likes to drive. She likes the van. So I find if she wants to drive, it's all right with me.
Do you remember your first car?
Yes. Buick Falcon. I mean, a Ford Falcon.
Ford Falcon.
It was brown.
What year? Do you remember what year?
Oh, gosh. Let me see. I didn't get my license until I was a freshman in college, believe it or not.
Really? That wasn't that uncommon back then,
it was probably about
right?
65, 64.
Kids probably think that's crazy, but back then that wasn't that unusual.
Yeah, well,
right?
see, I traveled back and forth to Bentley. I commuted.
Yeah.
But the way we did it was we had one designated driver and 4 of us with cars. So we'd alternate. One week we'd use my car, and Ronnie would be the one that would be driving. And then he'd use Bob's car another time or Danny's car. So it was different cars all the time, but he did all the driving. We usually ended up playing cards on the way in or something, to kill the time. But that was going back and forth to Boston every time. When I graduated from Bentley, I was actually the last class to graduate from Newburyport, and they opened up the new campus in Waltham, which is spectacular.
Yeah.
And so I never actually took any class. Well, I did when I was working with FDIC. They had a couple of seminars out there, so I went out to Bentley for that.
Nice.
But
not too much driving though.
No. But so as a result, we did commute back and forth. But that was the only thing. But
I think I had I want to say a '78 Oldsmobile was my first car. No, could that be possible? '78 can't be, right? 2000.
Mine was a Ford Falcon.
Yeah. I wanted the Cutlass Sierras. Remember those? The Oldsmobiles? The
Cutlass?
Yeah. So that was my first car. And I remember it was an old car, but I remember my dad telling me, he goes, you should really look at it because the woman who you're getting it from or could get it from only drives it to church and back. That's all she does. So, but you know what the problem with those is it sits there in the wintertime.
It has to be used. But in my case, it was just a lot of short trips. That's why I at least take it out one time. Sometimes just drive from here to Danvers and back just to give it a little bit of run.
Yeah.
They always told me that at the garage, just run that anyway.
Oh, they did? Yeah, that's a
as
good
far
trick.
as getting oil, I don't have to get oil once a year because I never go more than 3,500 miles a year. So it's usually just get grease and oil job done in January and I get my sticker and that can pretty much cover me for the year.
Always flying to Florida, never making that long road trip through spring training?
What happens now, we're very fortunate there. With Kathy's car, which is a lot better shape than mine, we bought a new one 3 years ago. My son drives the car down for us.
Yep.
We fly down, he flies back, then he flies back down with his kids and spends the April vacation week with us, then he'll drive back.
Oh, nice.
So we do it that way. So that works out pretty good.
Is that when you're doing the Disney trips?
We've done Disney there. We used to do it when I was working and the kids were younger. We did it in August.
Yeah.
Because I always had to do it after the baseball season and before the football season. So we had a little bit of time in August. So we used to be down here in the hot weather.
Yeah.
But we waited till my youngest was, and he's, let me see, Pat's probably 37 now. But when he was about 7, we started going.
Yep.
And about every 5 years we do. So we made about 4 different trips with them down to Disney. And now in the winter, when Scott, we've done over it, we've gone to Universal, we've got Busch Gardens and do that. that. So something different with the kids there.
Cool. Now, let me try to get my numbers straight. You said it's 51 years as a Patriot season ticket holder.
Yeah.
How many years spring training?
I started in 94. So we're talking 25, probably this is my 26th or so.
26 years spring training?
Yeah, I started in 94 going to spring training.
Okay. How many years in the doing Newburyport football?
1981 we started.
Wow.
So 35 years. This is my 36th, I guess, yeah.
Those are some great runs there.
Yeah. 46, I got to mention this too. Sunday was our 46th wedding anniversary too.
Oh,
I don't know how Kathy put up with me all those years.
But you do have to mention that.
Ah, hey.
Well,
yeah, so
congratulations to you. Congratulations, Kathy.
That was great. It's been great. But again, I don't know how she put up with me, but she knows when I was coaching baseball, at times I'd call her and say, hey, they need a couple of baseballs or catches made up at Bresnahan Field. I'm playing at the high school. Can you drive it up? So she'd go drive it up and drop something off and everything else, you know.
Yeah.
But she was used to that stuff.
I always mention that every time we have coaches on here. I always try to get into that because it is not easy being the wife or husband of a coach. It's there's, especially in season. There's a lot going on.
Oh, it was tough when our kids were playing.
Yeah, and
it was funny because when I coached, my kids would usually the first guys I'd take out because I didn't want to show any favorites. It was probably reverse favoritism, you know.
Yeah.
So but Scott understood it. He'd say, "Yeah, go ahead, take me out there. That's okay." But Kathy and some of the mothers just get mad if I took Scott out or something like that, or Tim or Pat, whatever I took out. Why don't I let him play the whole game? Well, it's just I know that the old man's not going to yell at me. But it's been I've been very fortunate. I've always had good parents to work with, and that's the big joy. Because a lot of times now, I think some people would rather say, "Let's leave the parents home and just have the games with the kids."
It'd be a lot
better off.
But
I was very fortunate. Very fortunate. I never had any problems with the parents.
I remember doing Little League umpiring back and it wasn't even that long. I mean, I did some all the way through. I remember coming back from college, one of those breaks when Little League was started. And I remember they called me and they said, "You know what? I know you said you're kind of busy with the college life and probably aren't in it. Is there any chance we can get you? We need a guy." And you know what? I could use a little spending cash, sure.
Yeah,
it was great. It's a great gig. I've recommended it to anybody. You know,
I can always remember when I was a home plate umpire, and because we had the big balloons, then you didn't have the invest anything else.
Have they? I think they still do, don't they?
Some of them do. Yeah. But I always noticed that whenever there's a low pitch, I'd always pick my right foot up. And lift it out so it wouldn't get hit. So anytime I lifted my foot, it was a ball unless the guy swung at it. Because I figured there's no way it's going to be a strike because it's so low, you know. But you get those habits in a while. But I enjoyed that. I did a lot of umpiring. But anything involved with the sports, I loved it anyway. So it didn't matter what I was doing.
It's funny, but even at the Little League level, though, you see some parents who are
intense.
It can be tough. I mean, working, never mind umpires.
Yeah.
You know,
we had an umpire one time. One of the parents come out of the stands at the end of the game and threw a couple punches at the umpire.
No kidding, really?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Of course, the parent was banned from the rest of the career when his kid was playing. He couldn't go to the games anymore. But it was just
a lifetime, right?
You know, flaky thing, but it happens. But yeah, they are too intense, and I felt sometimes let's leave the parents home. Yeah. But like I say, knock on wood, I was very fortunate in all the years I've coached.
That's great.
Had a good relationship.
What's your advice to the young coach? You've been through it all from every angle, from watching it from later years and.
Just remember that the kids, they're only kids. They're not adults. They're not pros. Some kids need a little pat on the back. Sometimes they might need a little boot in the fanny sometimes. Yep. So you've got to know the individual. But try to impress on the kids. Listen, we're out here to have fun. Winning is nice. We'd like to win, but as long as you go out there, give your best effort, and we win, that's fine, but have fun.
Yep.
And that was all I cared about. And usually when the kids were up until the time they're 12 years old, they're playing because their parents wanted them to play.
Right.
After that, it was their decision. And the older they got, the more they wanted to play, and they were easier to coach. And plus, a little more talent as well at that point. But no, as long as, like I said, we're here to have fun. I'd say to them, a lot of times that I could see nearly 13, 14, 15, I say to these kids, this is the last time you're going to be able to play ball where you're not out there where you have to win.
Right.
So let's have fun doing it. When you get into high school, now you're expected to win all the time or beyond that. So let's just have fun, do the best we can, and hold our head high, and it worked out.
There you go. That is good advice. Again, we're joined here by Richie Eaton on a Tuesday afternoon in Newburyport, first show of the week for us. Richie, I don't know if you happened to catch the show, but I had Mike Lynch on a couple weeks ago.
I just saw Mike yesterday. We played in the Sean Perkins golf tournament, and Mike was there.
Yeah, he told me he's going to be doing a lot of golf now.
He was, and he has shorts, loafers, no socks.
Is that right?
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
He thinks a lot of Newburyport, too.
I know. That's what I was going to bring up.
A lot of respect for Jim Stalin.
Yep. He was there. I remember he was on the sideline that day with us.
When they dedicated the field.
Yeah, that was a great day.
I was at a bank function one time, and he was the speaker. and he told a story about Dick Geron.
Yep.
So I went up to him afterwards. I said, Richie Eaton from Newburyport. He said, oh, Jim Stalin country.
Yes.
And I mentioned how, Jim had always said that Geron was probably one of the best high school athletes he's ever saw.
Yes.
And go from there. And then we just get into a conversation. And then during the bank hockey tournament, his nephew played for Marblehead. He was a goalie for Marblehead.
Oh, okay.
And he got the MVP in the hockey tournament. So Mike was down a few times. And in fact, I think one time his father was going to come, and Jim went to the game just to see his father because they had been pretty good friends. But Mike came down to the tournament, watched his son. And I was talking to him one time in the elevator down at Fort Myers. And I says, well, your nephew got the MVP. I says, he almost dropped the trophy. I think he did drop the trophy. Yeah, I think he did drop the trophy. I said, he holds on to the pucks, but he couldn't hold the trophy. Well, Richie laughed. He said, that sounds like him.
That is too funny.
Yeah, so it was good to see him yesterday. He looks good. I didn't get a chance to talk to him. I wanted to, but I didn't want to bug him or anything else. But he was talking with other people. But it was good to see him there. Yeah. He still does the high five, which was great. I love that
I'm
series.
glad he kept on to that.
He loves that series.
I guess he have you ever heard the story on how that started? Because he told it here, and I never knew it.
I probably
it might ring a bell. It was during, and maybe you can help me out because I'm probably going to need an assist on it. But it was during one of the hurricanes came through. And that was all the news. He's like, they're going to launch this high five thing, and the idea was they wanted to do a profile athlete of the week, athlete. And he said, you know what? Let's put a little different spin on this. Next week, let's go high school kids, because it's like, this is when you're really playing for yourself. It's not playing for a paycheck, or playing for a school, or let's do a high school kid. And he said, so we're about to launch it the next week. I get this, guest. I get who I wanted. And he said the guest. I can't remember the guest. But he said, then all of a sudden a hurricane's coming through. So you know how it is in the news business. Everything's
all weather.
So I'm like, oh, geez, I'm going to get buried, pushed out. This is going to happen. My news director comes up to me and says, nope, we're still going to run the piece. We're doing all hurricane coverage. There'll be a nice little breather from it for a second. We're still going to do the piece. And he said, I had more eyes on that because of the hurricane. Yep. And then he goes, but next thing I know, I'm done with the segment. My phone's ringing off the hook, and it's a legit, I pick up the phones.
The school wants you to come to visit us.
Yeah, it's great, but you got to check out this person. And before you know it, I was booked up for... Yeah,
he did one at Newburyport. We had a couple of kids, co-captains. I forgot which ones they were now, but a couple of co-captains he highlighted one year after Thanksgiving Day game, and he spoke about them and everything else. But
what a job he does on Thanksgiving too, huh? With seeing all those games and putting that show together.
I love watching the show. I tape it every time.
He's still going to do that too.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, he sits back in his own chair there with the different jerseys. He had a Newburyport jersey one year.
Did he? Yeah. Well, that was the other thing he said. People just started sending him stuff, so he's like, "We're going to make."
He's got all kinds of memorabilia you see behind him on the set, but that's what's good. He's sincere too. Yeah, he really is a sincere individual. He loves to do it for the sports. I miss him. I do miss him. And I always thought, gee, it's going to be tough to go in there, spend the day for a 5-minute sports report, and at 7 o'clock, 5:30, and at 7 o'clock, and then at 11 o'clock. All the time you're there from 5 to 8. Actually, I think they've cut it down to 3 minutes now. Yeah. So it's less. But it was the specials. Always the big games. He was there. He was involved with marathons. He usually did the marathon coverage. Right. But high five.
You always knew you were the must-watch Thanksgiving game when he was on your sideline, right?
Yeah. That was true. Yeah, it was so good to see him, and especially, and again, it's because of how he felt about Jim Stalin. I'm sure that's why he was here.
Yeah.
Be interested to see what happens because in a couple of years, Newburyport and Amesbury will be celebrating their 100th anniversary. Yeah. And so one time people were talking about maybe having it at Fenway Park.
Really? Oh.
So that'd be interesting. The other thing I've always wanted to see, I was thinking of saying to Kyle, a lot of times you're looking for a team to play the opening game. Right. And Newburyport and Amesbury always plays Thanksgiving. Yeah. Well, I don't think they've ever played under the lights, because they always play Thanksgiving. Yeah. Maybe some year it might be another good idea, have the opening game of the season, play if they have home in Newburyport for Thanksgiving, play in Amesbury under the lights. The first game of the year. Yeah. Just something different.
Yeah,
just
that would be cool.
It'd be something different. I don't, again, they might have played a jamboree under the lights one time, but I don't really think they've ever played under the lights together.
Yeah, why would they? I mean,
it's always Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So it'd be something different anyway. I bet it would draw a crowd.
I bet it would. Speaking of that, we're coming up close on Thanksgiving. I know that's going to be, I believe after all these years of talking to you, that's going to be one of your favorite days of the year, right? Is it your favorite?
I do. Yeah. To me, Thanksgiving is not Thanksgiving without the Thanksgiving Day game. Yeah. A couple of years they postponed the game, and I was talking with the AD Guerin over in Amesbury. Yeah, and I said, boy, don't worry. My phone was ringing off. You'll never see me postpone a Thanksgiving Day game again.
Oh yeah, because they had to do it.
They had to do it, and I've gone to a couple of games on a Saturday, and it's not the Thanksgiving Day game. You've already had the turkey. It was just a regular game. And so the Thanksgiving Day game, our tradition, I go to the game, then I go up to Portsmouth at my niece's house. We have Thanksgiving dinner there. Yep. It used to be my aunt's house and different things. So the tradition, I'm big on tradition. Yep. And to me, the Thanksgiving game is not the same without it. And I've seen it probably happen maybe 3 times in all the years, and it just never seemed the same.
So Garen said he'd never do it again.
Yeah, no, he said, I learned my lesson fast.
That's what was that snow?
It was snow.
Snow, yeah.
And apparently they couldn't get anybody to shovel the field off.
Yeah.
I mean, I know when Newburyport, they've had the players up there, it's 3 a.m. sometimes shoveling the field off to get it ready for the game.
You know what I saw at Danvers one year? I guess I was a junior, so 2004. I guess that was a big snowstorm. Yeah. And Danvers was playing for something. They were going to win the conference if they beat Gloucester at Danvers. So everybody was ready to go for Thanksgiving, and there was this massive snowstorm. And I lived right near the high school, and I see a helicopter fly over. They brought the helicopter down to the field and
fly it off.
Yeah, and it was just spitting snow, getting it all out of there.
It's a big tradition. Like I say, I mean, a lot of schools did play, but this particular one didn't, and it was a disappointment. But anyway, that's how it goes. But I do love the Thanksgiving Day game. Again, you could be 10-0, you could be 0-10, and if you win that 0-10 game, you've had a great season. You be 10-0 and you lose, it's not, because it happened one time. Newburyport played back in the early '90s, and they lost to Amesbury, and then they were still going on to the Super Bowl. Yeah. And I'm going. I hear these Newburyport fans, loyal fans, saying, "I don't know why we're going this game. A game's lost. Even if you win the game, it's been a lousy season. You win the Super Bowl. We lost to Amesbury, so it's a losing season.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, you end up like 11-1 or 10-1, but because you lost to Amesbury, it was not good. But being 0-10 and Amesbury won the game, that was a successful year for them.
Made their season, yeah. There's some great rivalries, even at the college level. Like whenever we talk about great rivalries, one of my favorite and traditions, one of my favorite games is the Army-Navy game,
definitely.
the college game, which is on my bucket list. I don't know if you've ever had a chance to do
that'd be a good one to go to. I've seen both of them play, but never against each other. But, I've been to, when the BCs played them, I've been to those games.
Yeah, something about
that's impressive.
The military uniforms. I don't know. There's something about it that I've always loved, and those guys always leave it out there. That's a Super Bowl level intensity at least.
Yeah, it is. And it's they're playing for pride more than anything. They're not going to win any championships, but it means you're fighting for your academy.
Yep. Speaking of rivals, the Red Sox rivals, the Yankees, advanced last night. Who you got winning the World Series? You get the
boy. I'll tell you, I was surprised. Like the National League games right now, they're all 2-2.
Yeah.
The Dodgers lost, so they're 2-2.
Astros aren't even out of the woods yet. Rays are battling.
Tampa's too bad. No fans there. It's just it's a shame. I hate to see that.
You've been there a few times, right?
I was there last year. I was the first 4 games of the season. I went there, and I couldn't believe it. I got there. I was going to pick up my tickets at the gate, and I got the same seats for all 4 games, right behind the dugout, 5 rows behind the dugout. Believe it or not. Yeah. And so I'm standing in line, and I'm standing in line, and the usher comes up and says, "Oh, you're going to have to move to the next line." I said, "What?" He says, "No, we don't have enough people coming today, so we're not going to open this gate." I said, "It's opening day. You don't have enough, but nobody's coming." No, we don't have enough people up hired to tend that gate. So I had to move another line, become like 50th in line, which it didn't make me too happy. Oh. But there was nobody there. And I said, "You can't even sell out opening day." Man. But twice I've been there. An hour before game time, and there were only about 8,000 people there. Got nice seats right behind the dugout. Yeah. In fact, the woman told me one time. She says, "I said, I'd like to get something between home plate and third base, and with the Red Sox." And she says, "Well, I'll tell you what." She says, "The first 2 rows are $75. The third row are $33. Third and fourth are $33. I might as well give you the third and fourth because no one's sitting in the front 2 anyway. Wow. So why pay the extra money? You're still going to be in the front row. Yeah. So right behind the dugout, $33. We get the seats."
That's nice of her to do that at least. I think they had. I did see. I think they had 30,000 yesterday.
Yeah, they finally showed up yesterday.
For them.
But I don't know where they
playoff.
How many for the other team though? That's the thing.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, when I was there, a lot of Red Sox fans. Well, it's like speaking of that, we already talked about that. The Redskins Patriots game. You see Red Sox and Orioles, a lot of Red Sox fans there, Toronto. Yeah. So the Red Sox travel. Yankees do the same thing.
Astros fans travel too. Yeah. They invaded Fenway Park one year, I remember.
Oh, yes, all the Astros shirts. Yes. Even the Giants this year had a good following.
Yeah, it's going to be a take. You figure you make a West Coast trip, West Coast, East Coast trip. It's you would think Boston. That's a popular weekend series. And then, of course, you had the great Yaz moment this year.
That was a really good scene.
Did you love Yaz? My uncle tells me I'll never understand how big of a legend he was in this town because I never got to watch him.
I was there in '67 when they clinched the pennant. In fact, I bought tickets for the last 4 games. I was at Bentley at the time. Yeah. So I bought tickets for the last 4 games that he was 2 with Cleveland and 2 with Minnesota, or maybe 3 with Minnesota and 2 with maybe 5 games I bought. But we actually went to all the 5 games. And
really?
I saw when he won the Triple Crown, when he hit the home run, then Killebrew tied him up, but he still had tied with 44. Yeah. But what a great year he had, and Petrocelli catching the pop-up and everything else.
Fascinating guy.
That was when Petrocelli, that clinched the pennant, wasn't it? That wasn't the World Series, was it?
That was the pennant, I think.
Yeah, Longborg was pitching. Then he goes skiing. again the next year.
Yeah, that's right. It was. I mean, he was he still is fascinating. He won't stay in the ballpark for
No,
a
he
lot of those
doesn't. And,
ceremonies.
he's interesting down at spring training. He doesn't like to sign autographs. He talked about how Williams was that way, but he was just as bad. And Jim Rice is that way at times, too. But anyway, I had a book, and it was a big article on Yaz. So it was somebody else's book. So I'll try to get an autograph when I'm down at spring training. He said, I don't sign except between 11 and 11:30. I'll sign, nothing in between. And Frank Malzone was driving the car around. He says, give me the book. He said, I'll see you back here in 10 minutes. He comes back in 10 minutes and says, here you go, it's all signed.
No kidding.
He says, yes, go ahead, sign it for him, And then another time, I had another book. Again, somebody else asked me to get Yaz's autograph. They said, I don't sign except 11:30. I said, okay. So he came back, and Tommy Harper was driving him. So I said, oh, Tommy, could I get your autograph? So Harper signs the thing. Then he gets it to Yaz. Yaz looks at me and says, you got me. Because he knew who I was. I see me around enough. And he signed it anyway.
Wow, that's good.
But those were funny ones.
A little bit of a tough edge to him,
He used to like coming down here to fish down at Parker River.
Oh, really?
He docked down at Parker River. Did a lot of fishing down here.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I did not know that about him. Well, that's a good story. It's funny. My uncle says I guess the thing with Yaz first, like the Ortiz argument, and who was more important. And I heard them talking about this during that series. Ortiz obviously is
I think
put
Ortiz,
the championships
yeah.
on the board.
Yaz
But Yaz
is the one that
it was a
broke
dead.
things open.
Yeah, it was
67.
a tough time, right?
Up until the 67, there nobody ever went to the game.
See, I can't picture that being a
it was true.
32-year-old guy,
Yeah, but once they won the pennant, the whole thing's changed. And after that, it was hard getting tickets and everything else. I thought Yaz was good. I thought the way he ended, going around the crowd, high-fiving everybody that he could and everything else.
Nobody went to baseball games pre-67. Come on.
Not much. There weren't many. I'll tell you, there was easy to get tickets. Yeah.
Wow.
In fact, back in that was right around that in the early 60s. I remember going to a game, and I waited till the end of the minute to get tickets. Yeah. And they gave me the seats right next to the Red Sox dugout. And that was one when Dick Williams was playing for the Red Sox. He had a fly ball, and Al Luplow which was considered the greatest catch at Fenway at the time. Went by the boat, but caught the ball and fell into the dugout.
Oh, okay.
That was at that game.
Wow.
Yeah, but the Yaz one when they won the pennant, I still remember our seats up in left field, the corner there. So we had some good memories. A lot of games.
It is a great take. I love all the other ballparks. I love Baltimore. I've got to see Toronto, which is fairly new. I've been to quite a few of them. I'm very happy that someday I'll be able to take my kids to Fenway, considering they don't make a change in the next. But it looks like it's going to be there for a while. I love the old ballpark.
I had a great sports weekend, and we might have even talked about this. There was one weekend back, probably about 10 years ago, maybe even longer than this now, and I was at Red Sox game on Thursday night at Fenway Park. Mm-hmm. Friday night, Thursday night. Friday afternoon with the Cubs to watch the Cubs play. Oh, wow. And Saturday we're at Notre Dame to watch Notre Dame play.
That's cool.
So those three stadiums, the 3 consecutive days, what a great sports weekend that was.
Yeah, I've never done the Notre Dame. I work with a guy whose daughter's going there now.
I'd like to go back out again. I did about 2 games out there at Notre Dame.
Kind of a BC feel to the campus? BC feel to the campus with the Catholic? I mean, I know it's bigger and grander and more into football.
Yeah, but you got the touchdown Jesus. Everybody made a touchdown Jesus. And you know what? Funny thing is, once they enlarged the stadium, you didn't see it anymore. But it used to be at the end of the stadium.
I remember that.
And his arms up in the air, almost like he's signaling touchdown.
Yeah.
But now once they add addition to it, but that's where everybody would meet right there. Yeah. And so that was always a fun time. Like I said, I've been there twice. But you mentioned Toronto and Baltimore. Kathy and I have talked about maybe doing a trip, going to Toronto for a series, and going to Baltimore for a series. We've done the series in Tampa, but we'd like to. I haven't been to Camden yet. I would like to do that.
Yeah, you got to do
that.
And
then we've been at in Rogers Stadium, but not to see a game. It was one time on a tour.
Yeah, yeah. Now it's right. It wasn't Rogers when I was there. I guess it was the old Sky Dome back when I was
Could have been, Sky Dome.
Yeah. But Camden's beautiful though. It's amazing to sit down in right field near the foul pole and feel like you're right on top of the action. Somebody built that thing with a purpose.
Wow, it's good time. You see Boog Powell hitting the home runs out that way.
Oh yeah, it's a great take. Great ballpark. The again, Richie Eaton here. Richie, that was fun. Hour flew by. How about that?
Is it that time
Can
already?
you believe that?
Wow, I didn't even know. I'm looking for a clock. I didn't see what a clock was.
Blew off the break and everything. Anything else you got to add? Any information?
No, just again to remind everybody that the football game this week is at 10 o'clock at the high school, Newburyport versus Pentucket, and then at 1:30 and 3:30 it's the soccer field, the ALS soccer games between Newburyport and Pentucket. The girls at 1:30, the boys at 3:30.
So another jam-packed weekend.
Should be a busy weekend.
You still enjoying calling the games?
Oh yeah, I do. I enjoy enjoy it. Getting a little harder to read the numbers sometimes. The eyes aren't what they used to be. I'm not getting any younger.
That's what Gil Santos used to say. He said, I still get the pipes. It's just the eyes.
The eyes, That makes it tough. Some of these combination of uniforms they wear now, and you've seen that in hockey, trying to read the numbers, it's tough.
It is, yeah.
But it's a lot of fun.
It is.
Still enjoy it.
Well, I'm glad we enjoy hearing you there. Richie, and thank you, man. Have a good rest of the week. Have a good weekend. It's going to be a fun one, it seems.
You too.
And we'll get you on around Thanksgiving, too, because that's always a fun time to talk some turkey and football. How about that?
Sounds good.
Richie, and little programming note for Thursday. We got actually for those of you, we do a lot of music shows on Thursday. I'm having a friend of mine, a coworker who's been in the business. He's ran music stations in the market. He's done some news writing for us at the WBZ in Boston. But if you're into music, he is a music encyclopedia. So if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up beforehand. His name is Matt Phipps, so we're going to have him on Thursday, and just a really interesting guy and a good friend of mine. So I'm looking forward to that on Thursday. If anybody wants to tune on in with music questions, all that good stuff. So tune in Thursday, same time, same place, 3 o'clock. Don't forget on Twitter at Joppa Afternoons. And a big thank you to Lily Doucette for producing this show, as she has been doing for a while. You're back on a full month now, Lily, right? Yeah. More?
I like her BC sweatshirt, by the way.
Oh, sporting the BC today. There you go. Who did they have this week?
I think they're going to buy this week.
They're going to buy this
week? They lost that tough one.
They need it after a Louisville loss. Yeah, it's a bad loss.
That was what they should have had.
Yeah. Well, there you go. We're going to end on a bad note for all you BC fans. I'm sorry. Have a good Tuesday, everybody. We will see you back here Thursday afternoon. My name is Drew Moholland. This has been Afternoon Drive on Joppa Radio. Big thanks to Richie Eaton. Once again, we'll see you, Richie.
Take care.